After years of service in the Air Force as a pilot, which included flying a decoy mission on the bombing at Hiroshima, more than 50 years of preaching in various cities, states, and continents, being an instrumental part of constructing the Cordell Christian Home, 14 or so trips to India, he had lost count, to preach God's word and build a widow's home and orphan's home, writing 2 religious books, traveling across the country on his motorcycle, and loving his wife for 58 years, Jack Cox died May 7, 2002 at the age of 78. Jack was the only child of Etheridge Ernest, Jack, and Willa Mae Cox. He spent his years growing up in Luther, Oklahoma, where he had all kinds of fun adventures, including setting up a boxing ring in his backyard where he hosted tournaments among his friends, and kites rigged with razor blades to have kite fights with whoever would accept the challenge. Jack loved to fly from an early age, when his parents would spend summers in Colorado, and he would spend his time learning how to fly a plane. And when he was 17, he traded his Indian Chief motorcycle for an Aeronca K plane, and his love for planes only grew from there. Jack had family in Cordell, Oklahoma, and so he would visit frequently. On one of those visits, he met the love of his wife, Zonell Nell Gregory. When they went on their first date, Nell said they were so busy making eyes at each other that she accidentally spilled her milkshake. Jack joined the Air Force soon after he met Nell, but that didn't stop their love from blossoming. On October 29, 1943, Jack and Nell married at the chapel on Lemoore Airfield Base in Hanford, California, where Jack was stationed at the time. He was then sent to La Junta, Colorado, where he earned his wings and stayed for a year as an instructor of B-25s. While in La Junta, he made a decision that changed his life forever. After seeing Nell's faith for the Lord, Jack knew he needed to learn and accept the truth, and he did in March of 1944 in a cold mountain lake outside of La Junta. Shortly after, in 1945, Jack was sent to the South Pacific. He was very proud of his time in the service and never missed an opportunity to regale his family and friends with one of his stories. After his time in the service was complete, he received a degree from the University of Oklahoma in efficiency engineering in 1949. Around that same time, Jack started his preaching career. From Norman, they would go to Lexington or Noble for him to preach on Sundays. The only problem was they didn't own a car, they only owned a plane. So they would take the trolley to the airport, fly to their destination, and then hitchhike into town, hoping someone would pick them up. Soon after, Jack got his first full-time preaching job in Sayre, Oklahoma, and from there he went all over the nation and world. In 1984, Jack and Nell made their first trip to India, and immediately Jack knew he could do great works there, so they went back nearly every year for the next 16 years. Jack was a lover of people. He loved to joke and pull pranks on people with his wife right by his side helping him. He also loved to travel, a love he instilled in his 3 children, Zonell, Susie, and Gregory. By the time Zonell was in 8th grade, she had already been to every state in the continental United States. And Jack's fondness for history made the family journeys all the more interesting, as they would stop by every historical marker, even though Jack usually knew more than what the marker would say. Even as he got older, Jack and Nell never stopped wanting adventures, so when they were both well into their 70s, they set off on their Honda Interstate motorcycle for Nova Scotia and several other long journeys. Jack also never lost any love for his wife in the 58 years they were married. Their love only got stronger. In fact, on Jack's last day on Earth, he had picked a rose for Nell and had taken her out to eat and to see a movie. Jack was a happy, loving, Christ-like man who will be missed greatly by everyone who had the chance to meet him. Jack is survived by his wife, Nell, 3 children, Zonell Rainbolt and her husband Charles, Susan Jones and her husband Ken, Gregory Cox and his wife Ronita, and 10 grandchildren, all of whom he loved dearly.